So welcome, Victoria.
Thank you very much.
It's a great
Thank
thrill
you.
to have you here.
Thank
Do you want some water?
I'm okay at the moment,
Okay.
thank you.
Right.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited, but I'm also intrigued as to why anybody really wants to hear what I have to say. So I'm excited to be here. So thank you, Colin, for inviting me. And wow, I can't believe there's that many people that want to hear what I've got to say.
Well, there we are. There we are. Anyhow, what kept you? I don't mean tonight.
Oh, tonight,
Oh,
yes.
but tell us what happened tonight.
Okay,
Yeah.
so tonight, I'm really sorry I am so late, but I've got 4 children.
One young Romeo here to support his
Romeo,
mum.
why don't you stand
Come
up and say hi to everyone?
Come say hi.
I have 4 children, and there's a lot going on at home at the moment, and so I do apologise for being late, but I always put my children first. You know, I love my job. I'm so blessed to do what I do, but my babies are always my priority, and I had to feed little Harper. So I'm sorry to have kept you all waiting.
That wasn't really what I meant by what kept you.
Oh, okay.
But when I said what kept you, I mean, you're so fashionable, you're so chic, and yet you came to it comparatively late. Well, not that being in your 30s is late, but you know, when you were young, did you know that someday you would perhaps go into fashion, or did it just develop, or how did it happen?
I mean, I always loved fashion. It was always my passion. When I was at school, I used to customise the school uniform in the toilets at lunchtime to try and make it feel a little bit more me, a little bit cooler. And I used to carry my school books to school in a Gucci carrier bag that my mum's friend gave me, and I carried it every single day until the bottom of the entire thing fell out. I've just always had an appreciation for fashion. It's how I express myself. I was also a dancer and a singer, and I went to musical theatre school. And after musical theatre school, I did an audition for a little group called the Spice Girls.
I think I might have heard of them somewhere.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And you know, and I'm sure that you all know what happened next. I had a wonderful career with the girls, and I'm still friends with all the girls. I'm very respectful of my past, but my passion was always fashion, and I enjoyed standing up on the stage. But fashion was what I really wanted to do, and I met Simon Fuller, who is my manager, business partner and very dear friend. I've known Simon for over 20 years, and Simon was the one, along with David, that gave me the confidence to follow my dreams and to think outside of the box. I haven't been to fashion college, but I have a dream. I knew what I wanted to achieve, and Simon and David together gave me the confidence to take the next step.
And the next step was what? You started by designing jeans, yes? Was that
I
the
started
beginning?
working with jeans in denim about 10 years ago, and I loved it. I mean, it wasn't that I particularly liked denim. I just wanted to design. I wanted to express myself, and it was very successful. I worked for a brand called Rock and Republic, and I designed a collection for them. And then I worked in sunglasses. I worked with a company called Linda Farrow, designing sunglasses for Linda Farrow. And it was at the same time that myself and David had a fragrance out together. It makes me laugh. Yes. I think back to those pictures now, and I think, oh my goodness, what were you thinking? We had a fragrance with Coty, the perfume house. We were the first celebrities to launch a fragrance internationally, and it was a huge, huge, huge success. It was mass market. It was everywhere, this fragrance, and it was great for us, and it earned a lot of money. And what it did was enable me to bring the denim and the sunglasses and to start working on the ready-to-wear. It enabled me to bring everything in-house, so I don't have any licensing deals now. I own everything myself, a third of it with David and Simon Fuller. I was in a position to do that because I had the funding through Coty. Then I started working on a ready-to-wear collection, and next year that will be 10 seasons ago.
Wow. God, how quickly the time flies.
It's
That's
gone
amazing.
so quickly, and honestly, I wake up every day, I really do, and I consider myself so blessed. I might look like a really miserable person.
Oh, doesn't she?
I might do in those pictures, and I look at the pictures and think, for crying out loud, bloody well smile. But I'm so lucky to have my wonderful children and my wonderful husband and a job that I adore. And yeah, I love every minute, everything that I do. I mean, sometimes it's painful. I was in the studio this week and I'm in tears, and you know, it's painful.
It's not an easy life. You have a very pressurized life because you're living in LA, you've got your studio here. How often do you come over?
I'm in London every month. I'm here for a week and a half, 2 weeks every month, and then my team come to me for the rest of the month. Constantly on the phone, email, but I'm here, or my team are with me all of the time. We travel a lot, but my favourite word is focus, and I believe that if you really focus, you can achieve anything, and I have a wonderful team of people around me, and we make it work because we are really, really focused, and we plan things correctly.
I'm sure you're very well organised.
I'm really well organised because I have to be. I've got 4 babies, you know,
a hungry husband. You've got to feed your husband.
Well, you know, I try and do the cooking as well, Colin. I try and fit that in as well.
Of course you do.
There's a lot going on, but everyone's got a lot going on. It's no different for me to how it is to how it is to everyone else.
Except for the travelling. The travelling must be quite a killer at times. Do you bring Harper with you every time you come over?
I do. I bring all of the children, but I can't because they're at school and I'd get in trouble. But Harper comes everywhere with me, and quite often I get on a plane and, you know, I have a screaming baby sitting on my lap for 12 hours. And the other day I just wanted to sit myself in that little toilet, Colin, and flush myself down it on the plane.
I don't believe it. I do not believe it.
She screamed for 12 hours. It's a long way, but you know, I'm lucky. I love what I do. It's just a bit painful sometimes.
So let's go back to LA for a moment. Do you have a little studio there as well? Do you have some team there? So how do you divide them? What's done in LA and what's done? They want to know because they're students of fashion, so they want to know how you work.
You want to come to LA, don't you?
Of course they do.
That's what it is.
Of course they do. They'll all come up to you and say, do you ever give people jobs?
I do, and you know, I do. I've got a great team of people, and there's a couple of people here actually that have been with me right from the start, that started out, you know, not with the jobs they have now. I really think it's important as a company to have my team grow with me, and that's what I pride myself on. That's very, very important, to allow the individuals to really grow and you know, be part of what I'm doing. But back to what I do in LA, I don't have a huge team in LA because my London team travel to me. I'd say all of my team really is based in London. We're based in Battersea, and probably about 20 of about 15 of them travel out to LA every month, and then I come to England, as I said, and then when it's Fashion Week we all go en masse to New York, where I show the ready-to-wear, and I also show the Victoria Beckham collection, which is a new line that I have launched as well. And during that time we also do lookbook shoots. I mean, we cram as much into the time together as we can.
Do you find that the aesthetic is different in LA to the London one? I mean, it's very interesting to me. You're in LA, you have a lot of the clothes designed here. By the way, where are your samples made here?
All of the samples are made in-house here, and the production for the ready-to-wear is all made in London. Right,
that's good. Yeah. So you've got New York in the middle where you show.
Yes.
I mean, don't you get a little sort of schizophrenic about, well, will this work in London, would this work in New York, or do you just think this is Victoria Beckham, this is the way it is?
Well, I'm designing clothes, handbags, glasses, jeans, whatever it is that I'm working on, is because I want it. It's because I can't get it from anybody else. And I think that the aesthetic is definitely very different in LA. It's going to be. It's hot all the time. Sure. Though they still manage to wear lots of Ugg boots, even though it's hot, which is a bit confusing. But it's going to be different. But women are women. And I think that the Victoria Beckham customer, whether you live in Los Angeles, Dallas, Shanghai, wherever it might be, my customer is somebody who loves fashion, who appreciates quality, and someone who loves luxury as well. I do lots of in-store events. I did a couple last week. I was in Dallas and I was also in Vegas. A few months ago I went to Shanghai. I was also in Dublin. It's very important for me to go to these different territories to get to know my customer.
To get the feel of what they're about.
To get to know my customer, support my retail partner as well. And to actually speak to my customer, and I want feedback. I want to get in the fitting room with my customer and I want to know what she wants. I want to empower women. That's why I do what I do. I love women. I want women to feel good about themselves and confident. So I enjoy doing those things, and those things aren't press events. A lot of the time press don't even know that I'm doing it. It's about me and the customer and my retail partners that have supported me so incredibly for the last 10 seasons.
Yeah. How many shops do you have across the world that stock Victoria Beckham's lines?
I am now in, it's about 400. I have Leon there. It's about 400 stores now around the world. I started out 10 seasons ago in, I think it was 7, is that right? Yeah, 7 or 8 stores 10 seasons ago. So we've come a long way.
Pretty quickly.
Really quickly.
I'm showing my ignorance here, and I should know this, but you don't have a freestanding Victoria Beckham shop yet.
Not yet, but that's what I'm looking for at the moment, which
Where
I'm
will
very
you start
excited
it?
about.
Where will you put it?
Definitely
New York?
London. No,
London.
Definitely London. I'm English. I'm proud to be English. My aesthetic is very English. I get the best of both worlds, travelling not just around the world, well, not just to America, but around the world. But I'm very, very English. I'm proud of that. So definitely London would be a great starting point. And then probably New York after that, create a blueprint, and then definitely look into other territories such as Asia, which is a very interesting market for me as well.
Do you do well in Asia?
Very well in Asia.
Do you think, as I do, that that's sort of where the future is, really? When you say Asia, do you mean China particularly, or
Asia in
Singapore, Hong Kong?
All over.
Yeah.
All over. I mean, I love it. I've made a few trips out there. I was in Shanghai. I've been to Hong Kong. I've been all over, and it's a wonderful place. Really inspiring, actually, incredibly inspiring.
If David went to play in China, which I'm reading a little bit about in my newspapers, would you go and live in China?
Well, I've been everywhere else that David.
So why not?
I've been to Manchester, I've been to Spain, I've been to LA.
Spain, the world, yes.
Who knows what's next? I love travelling, and you know, myself and David, we're great partners. You know, I'm here to support him, he's here to support me, and I have so much respect for him professionally and everything that he has done. And if he goes to China, maybe I'll go to China. I'm not sure that I could live in China all the time because I work in London, but myself and the kids would absolutely support him and be with him as much as we can. But I'm really busy as well at the moment, so whereas before I could just go wherever he wanted, now obviously.
Now you've got your own timetable, your own world, really.
And the children have school as well.
Yeah.
And when you have kids, everything revolves around your children and the schools that they go to and their school holidays. Everything revolves around those.
Yeah. So what do you do when you are not working? For example, Christmas. Do you come home? Are your parents are obviously still alive. Do you go and spend Christmas with them, or do you come? What happens?
We are coming home to spend Christmas with our parents. I mean, I'm a bit of a workaholic.
I know you are.
I work pretty much every day. You know, I really love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I'm incredibly ambitious. So I work most of the time. And I manage to do that. You know, the children are so understanding of what I do, and so is David. But we will be coming home for a little while, which is great because I know then I'm going to be in the studio every day as well.
Perfect.
Perfect. We've got Fashion Week coming up. You know, there's a lot. It's a very short season for us, so there's an incredible amount of work to do.
Yeah.
A lot of work to do.
I can imagine that you never really completely switch off because you're thinking fashion all the time, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. And I know everyone
But there's
here
nothing
can
wrong
relate
with
to
that.
that. No, everyone here can relate to that. My mum always says to me, why don't you have a day off, or why don't you get someone else to do it? I like to be in control of absolutely everything. And with my business, I'm in control of every single aspect. There's not one single dress that goes out on a shoot or lent to a celebrity that I haven't approved. I'm at every single lookbook shoot.
Yeah.
There's not one element of the business that I'm not at the centre of, really. I can live with my own mistakes, I can't live with anybody else's.
No.
I'm a complete perfectionist. I give 100% when I go to work, and my team give 100%. I'm so blessed to have all of them on this journey with me, I really am. And I'm a believer, and I say to my kids all the time, if you do anything, do it, give 100%, do it properly, or there's absolutely no point in doing it, whatever it might be.
And I bet you're quite tough with your team, but they'll love that because they'll know where they stand.
I'm very honest. I say it how it is. I am a perfectionist and I expect a lot, but I treat them really well as well. You know, I treat people how I like to be treated myself. We work very, very hard, but then we can play hard as well. You know, we throw a mean Christmas party and...
Do you sing?
I think he's hinting.
Carols, perhaps.
He's hinting that he wants me to give a tune, so maybe later on.
How did you guess?
Oh, don't, please. Honestly, I might actually damage your eardrums. So maybe I won't. But we play hard as well. You know, my team were in LA the other day, and David was really, really sick. And you know how when men get sick, they get sick a lot worse than us women get sick.
Oh, what nonsense.
He was very, very sick. But, you know, he dragged himself off of his deathbed, as you consider his deathbed, to take my team out for dinner because, you know, David is so impressed and has so much respect for everybody that works for me that it meant so much to him that he wanted to take everybody out, and so he took everybody out and everybody got very drunk and had a lot of fun.
Fabulous.
And that kind of thing is really important because I love everyone dearly who works for me.
Yeah, well, that's what a team's about, isn't it? Really?
Oh, I couldn't do what I do without my team. And I know every single one of my team, you know, all my machinists, every time I go in, it's really important for me to go and see all the people that actually are turning my dreams and my vision into reality. And Harper comes into the studio and she'll be running around everywhere, and it's really important. It's a really lovely environment to be in.
Are your team all English, or do you have Americans in LA, or how is it?
No, I'm building a team in New York at the moment, and I have some, obviously they're from New York. My team in England are, I mean, a mix really. They're from all over.
Mm. You've got kids, so you know you're not going to be starting at 6 o'clock in the morning. What sort of a day do you have? What time do you get in to the office normally?
If I'm up at night with Harper, I'm quite often checking emails and sending emails. It's the worst thing you can do, especially when you've got jet lag. Start checking your emails because then you're up. But if I am up in the night, I start emailing through the night. Then I'm normally up at around 6 o'clock with the children, so I'm sort of phoning people whilst doing the breakfast for the kids, all that sort of thing. Same as any working mum, really. Yeah. Then I take the children to school. And
you actually drop them off, do you?
Myself and David, we go in two different directions to drop the children off at school. And then on the way back, I start making all my calls. And I pretty much work all day. I'll take an hour off to go and pick the kids up from school. This is when I'm in LA. If my team's around, then I do the school drop and then I work pretty much all day. Because we don't have huge amounts of time together because we are travelling so much, me and the team, we have to really focus and we know what we've got to get done. We can never just come into the studio and not have a very creative day and just think, oh well, we'll try better tomorrow. We know what we have to achieve every single day. Yeah.
And of course, judging by your perfect figure, long lunches aren't part of it, really.
We're in the fashion industry, Colin.
I can't imagine that. What?
We're in the fashion industry.
Exactly. Lettuce leaf, just to look at. What about when you're starting a new collection? What's your jumping off point? Do you look at the last collection, the ones you really liked, or the ones that were really bought by the retailers and everything? How do you build it up?
I'll always
to the final show, to the
I'll
show?
always start with having my sales team come in and give me an overview of what sold, who
What's
bought
gone well,
more, what didn't sell, the reasons why, feedback from the retailers. And then I will normally start with the signature side of the collection, which is my bread and butter, if you like. This kind of dress would come under signature. This would be fashion signature. So it's, it's not the fashion side of the collection. There'll be an element of fashion, of course, but it might not be the key runway piece. So I will start with that part of the collection and build that up at the same time as speaking to my stylist and getting inspired and just figuring out what I want to wear depending on what time of year it is. It runs like clockwork, it really has to, and though I like to be creative, I'm running a business at the same time, and we have we've been profitable for quite a few seasons now because, yes, like I said, I want to be creative, but at the same time, I'm running a business and I have to look at this like a business and make sure I do it in the right way.
I think what you do is always sort of fresh somehow. I mean, your last one was marvellously fresh and young and crisp. And I loved the shoes, which were very unexpected.
Yes, didn't he do well last night? Manolo Blahnik
well, of course he won the thing, didn't he? Yes,
outstanding achievement last night at the Fashion Awards.
Does he do your shoes?
He does. I
didn't know
designed
that.
the shoes with him for the
I
last
didn't know
collection.
that.
Yeah,
Marvellous person to work with.
I mean,
inspiring.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yes. Good for him. Yeah, he thoroughly deserved his award last night.
Yes, long overdue in my opinion.
Absolutely.
There we are, we mustn't get political. Now we've got some questions from students. I'm going to sort of pop them in every now and again. So I'm going to read the first. They're all much cleverer than my questions, I might say.
Oh, I'm surely.
This one is by Francesca Ulanov, who says, do you think your celebrity status has helped or hindered your brand and its development?
I think that because I was in the Spice Girls and because I'm married to a footballer, people had their preconceptions and no one was more aware of that than me. And I had to prove myself, but then everybody has to prove themselves in every industry. I think the great thing about being famous, if you like, is fame gives you a voice. You can create a lot of attention. And I was nervous, all I wanted was for people to come in and judge my collection. I wanted the product to be judged for how good the product was, as opposed to people thinking, well, you're a Spice Girl, it's going to be rubbish. And that's where I do feel very grateful to the industry, because they did exactly that. They all came in thinking, we're not going to like this, she was a Spice Girl. And actually they left that at the door and they let the collection speak for itself. And in actual fact, it's interesting because Marc Jacobs, who's a very good friend of mine, said to me not too long ago, you've got to stop saying that, Victoria. And I said, well, I really do appreciate the fact that everybody has given me this opportunity. And he said, no, nobody gave you that opportunity. They did it because the product was really good. It's not that they left their preconceptions at the door. It was really good, and you've got to stop thanking people for that, which is obviously an enormous compliment coming from someone like Mark.
But I think he's absolutely right, don't you, when you think about it? I mean, the fashion business is very generous, but only up to a point. And if you had got it wrong, the generosity would have soon... Generosity and curiosity as well. But once you showed that you got it, you understand what it was about, they will be behind you, and they're more and more behind you.
Oh, absolutely, and I had a lot to prove.
Yeah.
But I didn't go out there to prove anybody wrong. I didn't want to prove myself to anybody. The only person I wanted to prove myself to was myself.
Sure.
And that's all I wanted to do, prove to myself. I had a lot that I wanted to do. I have so much I still want to say, and I'm taking it baby steps at a time. But there's a lot more, I have a lot to give.
Yeah.
But I would say that people had their preconceptions, and
I don't think they've got them now. I think you're now a designer, like anybody else, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've worked for it. I've kept my head down and I've worked for it, and
Yes, you
the
have.
hard work is paying off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I couldn't do it without my team though. I keep saying that, but
No, it's obviously true.
I also
It's
think
clearly true.
I also think that I have a really humble attitude. I really do, and I do consider myself very blessed. And I started at the beginning. I didn't start with a huge big show. I started in a hotel suite in New York. With, I think I had 2 models. I didn't have a stylist.
Really?
It was me and a guy called Jason who was doing my PR at the time. And it was literally a case of him holding up a dress and saying, well, I think this one should go first, this one should go second. I had hair and makeup working on the models that I think cost about £20 for the 2.
Right.
I didn't have the A-team, you know. I started at the beginning and I wanted the clothes to speak for themselves. Yeah. And I don't know if many of you are familiar with how I used to do the presentations.
Tell them.
Well, I'm sitting in a hotel room and I was sitting there for about 4 or 5 days, and I would do about 15, 20 presentations every day. Sometimes there would be one journalist or one retailer sitting in the room with me. Sometimes there might be 25, 30, and the model would come in, and quite often there was embarrassing silences. So I just started talking. I mean, I'd talk to a dead person. I just like to talk. And so I just started talking. This next dress, you know, this was the inspiration. It's made of gazar or whatever it was made of, and then the model would walk towards me, and then quite often I'd stand up and I'd unzip the dress, because in the first season I worked a lot with corsetry, and I was
Yes.
proud of what I'd achieved. It was very difficult to achieve, and the quality was something to be incredibly proud of. So I'd unzip the dress and I'd show people how the dresses were made, and people would sit forward and touch the fabrics, and then the next dress would come out. And it just happened naturally, and that was season 1. And then as the seasons went on, my venues improved. I was at a hotel for about 3 seasons. Then I moved to an art gallery. Then I moved to a townhouse, and now I'm in the New York Public Library, which is the most incredible space. And now I have an incredible hairdresser and makeup, and I have a wonderful stylist. So it is a show now, even though I still call it a presentation.
No,
but
it's
it
a
is
show.
a show.
It's a show. But I think that's because you started in a very genuine and personal way. You could have spent a lot of money right at the beginning and had your first show a wham-bam thing, and possibly people would have thought, well, she's trying to buy herself into fashion. But you did it in a way that showed your personal enthusiasm for clothes and the ones that you had done. That's how I see it.
Absolutely, that's correct. I did it in a very small way, and I remember being downstairs in the lobby of this hotel at about 2 o'clock in the morning, the night before the show, in my slippers, and I think I was either in tracksuit bottoms or a dressing gown. It wasn't that glamorous, whatever it was. And I was there trying to arrange flowers myself that I could put in the room. So it looked nice when the models walked down, and someone said to me, you know, no one's going to notice these flowers, as I was obsessing over these bloody flowers. And in actual fact, Hilary Alexander, who I love, that's how she opened her piece. She commented on the flowers. So I was like, yes, someone noticed the flowers. But I mean, that's what a perfectionist I am, and continue to be. And I think that people recognise that and appreciate that. I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. I'm staying very true to myself. I'm designing clothes that I want to wear.
Yeah, exactly. Taking that up, Alexandra Burnside Hughes wants to know, would you ever consider designing menswear? I mean, you have a very handsome husband, you have very good looking sons coming up. Do you see on the back projection something to do with menswear?
I mean, I would never say never. Not at the moment. Not at the moment.
Because your women's wear is so personal to you, and as you said earlier, what you want to wear. So it'd be a very different sort of approach, wouldn't it really?
I don't know how I do it. I mean, the way that my design process works is quite often, I'm, standing there in my knickers.
And you try them on.
And
yeah.
I'll be, me and my team will be trying things on and draping things on me. So I don't know how I would work with menswear. I can never understand how the men design clothes for women. I've often asked a few of them, do you try the clothes on yourself? Won't disclose the answer.
Some do in private with their closest friends.
Absolutely. What they do in private, Colin, So I don't know. And also David doesn't really wear men's fashion. David likes to wear vintage clothes, and he looks great in everything.
Put them, style him himself, yeah. Maybe he would. Do you think someday he might start designing? Wouldn't it be great? You'd be the first, I think, the first husband and wife design team.
Yeah, I can't really see that.
No.
No, I mean he works. He designed an underwear line that's been hugely successful with H&M actually. So he does that, but he doesn't have a passion for it like I do. I mean, he can't understand what I do when I go to work. He came to, he's been at my last 2 shows. He'd never been at any of the shows before. I don't have any of my family, any of my friends there. I like to really be able to focus, and I'm not so sure I want my close family and friends to see that side to me, because there's a lot of pressure when you're there. And he was really surprised when he came and he saw the scale and the models and the intensity and what goes into what is between 6 and 9 minutes. He was really, really surprised. He kept trying to give me feedback, Colin. So he'd be sitting there, commenting on the models, and it was one of those. It's really great. Bless him, but
I bet he was a bit awe-inspired as well.
Really what?
A bit awe-inspired.
What does that mean?
It means that he was a bit gobsmacked, really.
He was.
Yeah.
He was really, really surprised.
Yeah.
And I know now, when I'm on the phone or I'm trying to work, whereas he'd normally let the kids run around and think, well, mummy's clearly just having fun on the phone. Now he'll say, kids, come on, mummy's trying to work. So he has a lot of respect for what I do. He has an enormous amount of respect for the industry. Without his support and without the children's support, I couldn't do what I do. No. So I'm very lucky. He's a very modern man, David. He doesn't expect me to be at home cooking the dinner. I mean, he does when I'm there. I've got to be honest. I do have a go. I try. Children say mummy's food is made with love. That means that I'm rubbish, but I try hard. Is that right, Romeo? Is mummy's food rubbish? Yeah, okay, yeah. But that wasn't the answer I was looking for, sweetheart. But he's very supportive, and I think that's great. It's great to have a man that understands that a woman has a passion. She wants to go to work. Yeah. So it's great.
Great. Right, another one. You ready for another one?
I'm ready for another one.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I go on a bit. Just tell me.
Right, this is from Tanith Reid, who says, who is your fashion idol, and who do you look to for inspiration? Well, you've told us you look to Victoria Beckham for inspiration, but who is your fashion idol? Would it be someone like Chanel or who?
There are so many. It would be difficult to know where to begin. So many from different eras. I would say, let's talk about now. Who do I like now? Who would I like to dress? I'd like to dress Tilda Swinton. I find her really inspiring. Yes. I think she's beautiful. She dances to the beat of her own drum.
Absolutely.
She understands fashion, and she quite often finds herself on the worst dress list. That's because a lot of people writing and commenting on the way she dresses just purely don't understand fashion. I have a lot of respect for her. I'm intrigued by her professionally as well. I mean, she's the most wonderful actress. But lots of people, funny you should mention Chanel. I was in Paris not too long ago, and Karl Lagerfeld was taking some pictures of me for French Elle, and it was actually on the Chanel stairs. Oh, and right. I was like a kid. I was so excited. Stairs. I had my phone. I was saying to him, please take a picture so I can text it to my friends. It's the Chanel stairs.
Yes.
I'm quite uncool like that. I'm very excited when I do exciting things. I'm living an extraordinary life, and I appreciate every day. I really do. And I think it's important to never think you're too cool, and to live each day and get excited every day.
Do you wear other designers' clothes, or do you always now just wear your own?
No, I wear other designers' clothes because there's a lot of designers that I have a lot of respect for. I like what they're doing.
Well, sorry.
No, I was going to say I'm completely Prada obsessed. Prada, Miu Miu, Junior Watanabe, Com, Jill Sander. There's so many wonderful designers out there. I also like to support other designers, and you know, when I'm out and about and I know I'm going to get photographed, I think it's great to wear something that somebody else has made, and you know, other people to get recognised for doing what they do so brilliantly. And I like to mix it up a little bit.
The first time I met you, which was about 3 years ago at least, you were wearing Roland Mouret.
Yes.
Now, he's a close friend of yours.
Yes.
And do you have a lot of his clothes?
Roland's a really good friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. He is managed by Simon Fuller, who is my business partner and friend, as I said. Yeah, I mean, I think Roland's a great designer. I have a lot of respect for him. I have a few of his dresses. He's great. I mean, he's a very, very dear friend of mine.
I think he's a very dear friend of everybody's, actually. He's so lovely.
Everybody, I mean, he's so
lovely
handsome
man
as well, isn't he?
Always
helps.
Yes, he is very handsome, certainly. But he's also lovely.
Yeah, and
you know,
really
he's nice guy.
He's part of the XIX family, which is the company that Simon Fuller owns. And he's part of the family, and we all socialise together, and he's a wonderful man, and he works incredibly hard.
Yes, he does. He's very passionate.
He's very passionate. Yeah, and he has a wonderful shop. I went to his shop not too long ago.
Carlos Place.
Yeah, and it's great. And
Beautiful.
he's friends with David as well. He comes over and we have dinner parties. He's wonderful.
Great, good. Now, this is from Kari Sundai, I think it's good. That was how you pronounce it. What is your key fashion item? Is it a handbag, by any chance?
Key fashion item?
Yeah, the thing that you, if you were in a sinking ship, which would you, apart from your children and your husband, what would you save?
Oh, what would I save?
A handbag, shoes, a vintage piece?
I mean, yeah, I do like my handbags.
Yes.
So
Yes,
probably
I've heard,
handbags. Yes, probably my handbags. I do collect fashion as well, and have done for some time. So maybe some of my vintage pieces. I've been collecting vintage Hermes bags for quite some time. So I'd probably take those to my sinking ship. And some other pieces that I collect.
But you buy vintage clothes as well?
Yes, I do.
Sort of old Dior or Balenciaga or whatever it happens to be.
Yes, Balenciaga, another brand that I love.
Modern Balenciaga, yes. You mean modern Balenciaga or old?
Oh, I collect
Collect
both, but I'm just, you know, I'm going back to the previous question, what else do I wear? I love a bit of Balenciaga. I think that he is possibly nothing short of genius.
What do you think is going to happen now that he's left?
What do I think is going to happen?
We're talking about Nicolas Ghesquière.
This is my personal opinion. I mean, I think he'll probably start up on his own, and I will be the first one knocking down the door, wanting to have a look and buy something from him.
Well, I hope he gets to know that. Okay, now here's one from Helena Boissonnas. How do the American-British consumers differ? What is the difference, do you think, between the American market and the British market, which I think is a very interesting question?
I mean, I think women are women wherever you are in the world, and trying to think the big difference. I mean, I did some events recently. I was in Vegas and I was also in Dallas, and I don't know if it's because they're particularly wealthy territories, if you like. They buy a lot. One lady bought 20 dresses in Vegas.
In one go? In
one go. So they buy a lot. I mean, I think sizes vary depending on what territory you're selling in. But generally speaking, women are women, and they want to feel feminine, they want to feel empowered. Certainly some places will buy more of the fashion pieces. You know, the major cities will buy the fashion, whereas other territories might rather something that is a little bit safer, if you like.
I think it's amazing that anybody would buy that number of clothes in one go. Don't you find that amazing?
It is, I mean, I've never been like that myself, but I mean, I think it's great. I think that the feedback that I get is that my dresses really do make women feel good about themselves.
So they think, right, let's have more of that.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. It's a bit like drinking,
Nothing wrong with that,
really.
Colin.
You know, if you feel better after a few drinks,
Have a few more.
Yeah. I must say, I envy you your air miles. You must have, how many, well, you know, I'm always trying to find a way of getting upgraded.
My mum used to tell, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah,
but you know what my mum used to tell me about getting upgraded, hence why I'm always quite smart when I'm going through an airport. Ever since I was little, my mother always said to me, when she used to take me to Torremolinos on holiday in Spain, years ago, my mum used to say to me, if you dress nicely when you're on an aeroplane, then you could possibly get upgraded. Now, in those days, we were only ever travelling on an EasyJet, and they don't have anything to be upgraded to anyway. But it was ever since I was little, my mum always used to say to me, "You've got to dress nicely. We're going on a plane." It's what posh people do.
That's great. And you still find that it works.
Well, I still do,
of course,
yeah.
you buy a cheap ticket and hope to be upgraded.
Well, absolutely. Put on a bit of Prada, and who knows?
Right, another one. Well, you've sort of mentioned this already, but this is from Josette Matombi, who wants to know, how do you balance your life as working mother, wife, businesswoman, and what are your tips for a successful work-life balance?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I put the children first. It's hard, but then it's hard for any working mum. It's no different for me. I feel guilty every single day that I go to work because I think I should be with the children, but the children are so supportive and like I said, so is David. But every working mum out there feels guilty. I wear lots of sunglasses to hide the bags under my eyes because, you know, you're up all night with a baby and you're working. It's tough, but then it's not just tough for me.
No, it's tough for everybody, but it's whether it's reward. It only feels tough if it isn't rewarding, I guess. If you're not enjoying it.
I mean, if I get a lot of work done, then and I'm happy with the results, then I feel really fulfilled and very satisfied. If I'm not happy with the results, then you feel even more guilty, and then you think, well, it was a waste of time. That's why I always give 100%. I never do anything 50-50, whatever it is that I'm doing. I've always been a hard worker, even when I was at school, and I wasn't really very good at school. I still tried as hard as I could, and I continue to do that every single day every time I wake up.
So you didn't like school particularly, but you liked art, presumably, did you or not?
I liked art, and I was not too bad at home economics, so David would kind of laugh at that. I mean, I tried very hard, but I didn't fit in very well at school, particularly. But I worked hard. Was
that because you were already more ambitious than most kids, do you think?
Probably.
More focused?
Yeah. I wasn't particularly academic. I didn't really fit in with the system very well. But I worked really hard, and that wasn't the cool thing to do when I was at school. It was cool to skive off.
To bunk off, yeah.
To bunk off and have lots of boyfriends. Yeah. I mean, goodness me, the boys ran miles away from me when I was at school.
I'm sure.
And so I wasn't the cool kid at school. I just really worked hard, and that wasn't very cool then.
Right, well, that is the questions from the students, and you've talked for an hour.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's been marvellous, but I think we must let you go. All I want to say is thank you so much for being such a marvellous guest. I'm sure you'll all agree.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, honey.